Hello everyone and welcome to Nerd Goblin Art. I'm Lula. Right, I was treasure hunting recently and I found this little guy in the local tip shop. Now I'm presuming that it's like a candle holder maybe, but it's quite small. So I decided to have a go at making a mould of it, and I'm going to use Let's Resin Silicone Rubber. I've only used it a few times, so let's see how it goes. And I decided my best option to tackle this one is to use a sheet of acetate, which is this hard plasticky type stuff, and this is one of my Let's Resin mixing cups. The bottom of it was an absolute mess and it had split when I last tried cleaning it, so it seemed to me, because I rarely throw things away unless they're really past it, I figured I could use it at some point for like a mould making. So I'm just using my glue gun. I'm going right the way around the edge and I'm just putting it on one of my canvas boards just so I can pick it up and move it out of the way to get on with other tasks. So I'm gonna do a little blob of UV resin. It's heavy, it's glass. It is glass, so it is quite heavy, and I don't think it would float, but this is me. So I decided to use a little drop of UV resin because it's easily done. I can just put a little blob in there, and when Mr. Goblin understands what I'm asking him to do, and you saw me gesture the torch, and then it took him a few more minutes to realize how to turn on the torch. Yeah, it was one of those days. So making sure that isn't going anywhere. Right then, so that is fitted in, and I've used my glue gun to hopefully make sure we're not going to get any leaking. And with this silicone rubber, I'm going to put on my gloves, which means magic. Oh yes, it's time to go play. Yes, it is. And it is a measurement measurement by weight, 1 part A, 1 part B. So I'm mixing it up and I'm being very good, and I'm actually using my weighing scales, which I purchased a couple of weeks ago. And as you know, I'm not the biggest fan of doing these things, but Mr. Goblin was in the room and I was double checking with him. I'm like, is this? Yes. And he's like, yes. And I got him to double check the digits for me because, as many of you know, if you've been with me for a minute, I have dyscalculia, which is numeracy dyslexia. So I always I'm always a little bit wary of numbers and stuff because things happen, things go on. So the instructions say that you mix this for around 3 to 4 minutes. I might be wrong, might be 5, but there you go. So I mixed it and I mixed it well. And I decided to add a little bit of this lovely lawn green mica powder from Let's Resin, just because I could. And I figured, why not make it look pretty if it even works? And if it doesn't work, do you know what I'll do? I'll just chop it all up and put it aside, and when I make another mold at some point, I have some filler right there to help me out. Yeah, didn't mix up enough in the first instance, but I knew this was the case. This is why the silicone rubber hasn't gone anywhere. So I mixed up some extra, and to be honest, I wanted a bit extra because I wanted to make some new inlays from some of my stamps and my wax stampers. So filled that up nicely, and as you can see, some of the silicone rubber is starting to escape. I didn't panic. I realized straight away, and as soon as I put pressure down, it did start flowing. So I quickly grabbed some UV resin because it could nicely slide into the little nooks and crannies that were obviously missing, and I cured it straight away. And then I added another bundle of the glue gun on there as well, and that worked fine. I kept a really close eye on it for a good 20 minutes or so, and there was no further leakage, which is good because this is all the silicone rubber that I have. So this is the following day. Look how much glue gun I had to use. So there we are. But I did manage to make some fresh inlays. I had originally used the J Diction brush on, but it was quite thick, quite a thick one. And that's what she said. But I got these lovely new ones made up, so I can pop them away, ready for using in some jewellery makes. So this pulls away absolutely perfectly. The acetate was a really good idea. I don't know why I got a great deal of leakage. Perhaps because the cut was used and used, maybe it had a few dents in it, tiny little dents that I didn't notice. And once again, this is easily done. Just cut away. Be careful of your fingers. I rarely make molds, and I jumped in with both feet back around this time last year when I made a humongous mold of a skull, and that was days work. And I already figured out that this is a big issue. Now, I've never tried to make a mold of something that goes up and in, and then I realized the issue was probably what I didn't think about before is the frog. The frog has little legs, and the resin has probably looped round and got caught into there, as well as being a pain in the bottom, because I don't think these things through. I really don't. So I end up having to slice. Yes, I have to slice down. I got it out. Didn't break it. I didn't cry. I think I've caused a new prolapse disc though in my spine. Just trying to get it out. So it's just a case of filling it up. I've sliced into it, so I've got an elastic band around there. I paid for the silicone rubber, and I'm not one for giving up too easily, so I figured let's just pour it. Let's see what happens. I've always got ways and means of potentially fixing things or doing things. I've just added some pear alcohol ink, and that is from Octopus. It is an awesome colour. It looks really great in some things, but it doesn't in others. And spoiler alert, it does not look good in this mould. But you'll see. We'll all see. And of course, I've made it plenty. I had to guesstimate because it's me, and my guesstimations were pretty good, to be honest, because I have my favouriteest into resin mould waiting in the wings for me to fill up once I've done this one. So pouring in, and obviously because I made it, I know what it looks like, and the original is sitting right by there, so I can get my silicone tool, because I know there's a little froggo down there. And I have snipped where the legs were. You'll see. It's all good. But I try my best to get my silicone tool down and around in there. But we'll see. I already know, obviously, because I do my voiceovers afterwards, don't I? So it's all good, it's all hip, it's all groovy. Don't worry, we'll sort it out. So, as I said, my favourite into resin mould, sitting in the wings ready, my handsome little gentleman Froggy. This could be a girl, but I see it like a boy. I don't know why, I just do. And as you can see, I just use my silicone tool just to run underneath his chin and under his neck area, because that's where the bubbles on that particular mould likes to live. On this one, I have no idea, because it's my first time having a go, and it's not leaking thus far. I chose to use my G3 curing machine, because it has a lovely lip on there, and if it does decide to start leaking out when I'm not paying attention, it's in the tray and it's not over my desk. So these are going, and now they are cured. And I had some extra left over, and I haven't done this guy for a while. This is Gerald's little sister. This is Gwen. This is Gwendolyn. It's lovely. Look at her little face. And the green, that pearl, pear is awesome. And I've not done this guy for ages. Look at him. He's awesome. A little bit of trimming to do, but that colour is absolutely awesome in these makes. It is not awesome in the mould I made. It isn't. It looks awful. But in the frogs and in Gwendolyn and the little croc, all awesome. I think you could do this frog in a poo colour and he would still look absolutely amazing because he is so absolutely gorgeously cute and sweet. Look at him. He is my friend. He's so lovely. And the colour really works, doesn't it? You almost get like a glow in there, like a sparkly glow because of... Oh, but it's gorgeous. I love him. I just love his little face and his little front hands resting over. But yeah, here we go. Here we go. So elastic band comes off and you can see where I had to split it. I might have to send the original to somebody who knows what they're doing with moulds, just for them to make a better one. This is terrible. And I do have to turn the camera off because I really needed to pull it towards myself and use my belly. I'm pretty sure I have caused another prolapse disc. Oh my goodness, look at the bubbles. And that, it looks awful. That green looks really tacky with this particular make. But I got the Froggy. The Froggy worked. It's just this is a mess. It is an absolute mess. And I'm not going to lie. I'm out of energy. I'm not going to pour it again. Not today. I will probably try pouring it again. But, yuck. You can't win them all, can you? You cannot win them all. So, whilst I'm looking at this and investigating it, I am considering what to do. I don't like wasting resin. Resin is too expensive to waste, and I can't. It's getting too near Christmas, and I can't afford to be buying loads of resin all the time. I just can't, and I don't want this to be a loss. So a story started to concoct in my head, and at this point I'm like, right, we can fix this, we can save this guy. There's the original, lovely little original. So yeah, I am going to save this, and we're going to do it in the form of a story. But before the story starts, you sitting down, children, your arms folded, legs crossed. I hope they are. I have, by the way, before I start as well, I have scraped up. I used sanding paper to scratch it all around to give that acrylic paint some purpose to hold on to, and it's just black just for me to have the base. And I'm just using burnt sienna, phthalo green and cadmium yellow, and I'm going to be building up this little Froggy to have some colour. So this little Froggy, maybe his name is Rupert. I quite like the name Rupert, and I'll explain that in a bit. So Rupert is a young froglin. You can see he's only little. He's a bubsy, and you can see the larger Froggy there, our Prince Froggy, watching on, and they're wearing crowns. Wow, that's magic. It is total magic, I promise. And he's starting to grow. Look at him. He's getting his colour. He's starting to look very, very frog-like and very, very beautiful, I think, anyway. The thing with these Froggies is I always, in my world, they get to wear a crown. But the only way they can get that crown is when they are young, not quite fully grown. He still has a leg that needs to grow properly. If you hadn't noticed, one of his legs, but that's original. That's fine. So anyway, when they come of a certain age, they have to come to a very special part of the pond. And yes, this little guy is sitting at the edge of that part of the pond. It is a magical place. In this area of the woods and of my world, the sky is the colour of cotton candy. Dragons exist, and they're only the size of maybe a mushroom. And jumping spiders live there, and they're quite friendly actually. And they're quite friendly with the dragons too, who used to be quite afraid of them, but that's another story. But anyway, at this end of the pond, this is where the frogs gather. And the other animals. Gerald is there quite often. He's one of the oldest alligators around, and he often is there to, obviously, because he's a wonderful guy, to offer advice for these little frogs and to cheer them on, as all Gerald should. And Gerald is at the sidelines, by the way. He's just off camera. And to get their crown, they have to be brave, and they have to make their first and biggest leap they'll ever make across the other side of this pond. And they have to make clearance of the lily pad that sits in the middle. So that is what young Rupert is here for today. He's looking very shiny. He's even having a little bit of a neon fluorescent thing going on, because that's what I've just put on the tile. So he's getting his little highlights now. And this is when we know that little frogs are of an age where they're ready to prove that they're ready for their crown. And that's when they start getting their bright yellow sparks on them, which look pretty intense at times. So it is time for him to start considering jumping over the pond, over the lily pad with the beautiful flower. And if he gets to the other side, the crown that waits there is gonna be his. How awesome is that? That is pretty awesome. Now this little guy, this little Rupert, he's got to the age where he has a little twinkle in his eyes. Just a tiny little twinkle. But again, this is another sure sign that this little frog is ready for his adventure and to be part of the crowned family. So do you think he'll do it? I think that he possibly will. But we'll see. He's only a little frog. He's quite small compared to many of the others. But in the meantime, the pond will start to rise. It's not the deepest of ponds. We don't want really deep ponds for this type of thing going on, because, you know, in the really deep ponds, there are fish like pike and such, and they'll make a meal out of the likes of poor Rupert. But there has to be a spark of danger. There has to be in a story like this, when a young little froglet is going to be leaping. So the pond is going to start rising a bit. And it does look quite magical. There's little blue balls of bubbles that are coming from underneath, so you wonder what kind of creatures could be under there. There's even some mermaids, and they only come across when the pond starts to rise, and it looks quite magical and sparkly with the glitter. And as it rises more, we get to see a little bit more colour. and it's almost like a pretty blue. And as we're waiting, it rises more, and then we start seeing really pretty pearl-like bubbles coming up to the surface. But what could it be? What could be under there waiting for poor froglets to fall in and not make it to the other side to get their crowns? Another sign that it's time for little froglets to start thinking about jumping is when the autumn starts kicking in, and we're between that funny stage where it's been autumn for a good couple of weeks and we're really starting to feel that tickle of winter on the horizon. So the woodland that surrounds the pond starts taking over a little bit, and all the brown and green leaves and foliage have started to creep over towards the lake and the ponds, and it's really starting to look quite beautiful with all those colours mixing in around by the water. And the water is really risen now, and that's with a mixture of leaves, acorns, fir cones, all those kind of things. And it's got a bit of a sparkle in there because, you know, the slugs and the snails have been around. And for absolute definite, we know it's time for the froglets to do their jump when that beautiful lily pad arrives. And it comes from the depths. And on the other side of the pond, there'll be a crown waiting. And as long as that little froglet is brave, and as long as that froglet believes in himself or herself, they're going to be able to leap across to the other side of that pond and reach their prize. So they get to be a frog, or a grown-up crocodile, or a grown-up alligator. Oh, they all live in the same place in my world. The dragons are watching, along with the jumping spiders, in particular Matilda. She's a blue jumping spider, and she absolutely loves watching these things, in hopes as well of catching sight of maybe a fairy dancing around nearby, or even a mermaid, because the mermaids always come in when that pond starts to rise up, and maybe it's them below making those bubbles, who knows. But Rupert has to do it. He has to be brave. It is time. And what he notices is, from the other side of the pond, is just how beautifully sparkly that crown is, and where it's risen up from the pond and been placed quite magically onto the side. You can see the glittery water and the sparkle that it's brought with it from the magic of the depths. It's maybe a mermaid. I think it's a mermaid that put it on the side, because where else would it come from? The pikes would rather eat the frog, and they don't want to encourage them to jump across and reach the other side. No. Those pikes would rather eat them because they taste very nice, especially with a little blob of mayonnaise. So, what do you think? Do you think that Rupert will make it to the other side to his magical crown so he can join all the froggies in their majesty? I enjoyed making that. So I came up with something else. It didn't quite work out, but now I love it. It looks awesome, doesn't it? I hope you enjoyed watching. This is Froggy Friday. It's a collaboration that was started by Karen at the Dragon's Cave, Lisa from Girl in the Garage, myself, Tim the Bass Resonator, and Gert from Gert Creates help out, and we get all sorts of amazing artists joining in every week. I really do hope you check out that list down below. It's down there in the description box. Love you and stay weird.
The nerd goblin whispers in my ear, stay weird, stay wild, no need to fear. She molds her dreams with resin and clay. Whimsical wonders brighten the day. Stay wonderfully weird, let your colors unfold. Frogs and dragons, stories untold. Crocodiles dance in a resin sea. Stay weird, stay wild, stay beautifully free. She paints the night with the dragon's flame. In her hands the world's never the same. Frogs in hats and crocodiles grin, each creation a spark where dreams begin. Stay wonderfully weird, let your colors unfold. Frogs and dragons, stories untold. Crocodiles dance in a resin sea.